There's
No,
no
only
swearing.
person allowed to swear here is Gina. She swears a lot. Hi
I do not.
guys. She does. I'm building a castle. I told you that.
Good evening, everybody. I am Gina B. Here with
Mama
Mama,
D.
and we're here every Thursday from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And tonight is going to be such an awesome show. Such an awesome show. The Fix Yourself Handbook, which you can see under Mama D right there. Unbelievable. This is like one of the best things I've read in a long time. And we do these kinds of shows a lot, but this book seriously has everything. And we're gonna have so much to talk with him about. So what I will do, what do I always do, Mama?
You threatened to hurt me. No,
Besides that,
we're going to go to the video that Gina created for Faust, and then hey Sharon, and then we're going to come back with Faust here with us.
right. So we'll see you
Okay.
in about what, 2 minutes. Good evening. I'm Gina B. here with Mama D every Thursday evening from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here in the Fox Den. Tonight we have author Faust Ruggiero. His professional career spans almost 40 years. He has consistently established cutting-edge counseling programs in pursuit of professional excellence and personal life enhancement. He is a published research author, clinical trainer, and a therapist who has worked in settings that have included clinics for abused women, prisons, nursing homes, substance abuse centers, employee assistance and marketing development programs for major corporations, and inpatient facilities. He continues to provide counseling services for veterans, first responders, law enforcement, and other emergency personnel. During his tenure as the president of the Community Psychological Center in Bangor, Pennsylvania, he developed the Process Way of Life counseling program and has adapted it into the formal text presented in the Fix Yourself Handbook. Inside the pages of the Fix Yourself Handbook, Ruggiero presents 52 internal processes and explains in easy-to-follow language how these processes can be applied to any life situation. He offers straightforward action plans to address issues methodically, prioritizing practical intellect over emotion to empower you to tackle problems, resolve conflicts, embrace change, and rise above anger and everyday challenges. And we welcome you to the Fox Den. And here he is, the man that wrote this unbelievable book. And I thank you for doing that. And hi, Sharon. Whoever's watching, please, we love you. Please share the show because there's going to be a lot of information that's going to help everybody. And in that video where it says apply to any life situation, it certainly does. Everything is covered in this book. Like I always say, we have a lot of self-help people on, type things, counselors, like in your field, obviously, because we want to help as many people as we can. And, they'll pick maybe one or two things, and harp on that. You have, seriously, every single thing covered. And it's so simple. It is so easy to use, so simple, so easy to read. And you do want to definitely reread it, as you're going through life and you have these struggles and situations that come up, that's what you're going to see. So that's the thing that's going to pop out at you in the book. But however, next year, next month, next week, it could be something different. And that's what's going to pop out of the book. So it's a good thing to have on hand at all times. And that's why it is a Fix Yourself Handbook. Right? So brilliant. And, and kudos. And okay, how and why did this whole process even begin with you that you wrote this down like this?
Jen, I've been counseling for a long time, and when you come out of graduate school and you've been taught all the things you're supposed to use, then you get into the office and into the settings and you say, okay, well, they taught a lot, didn't really tell us how to do this thing. So you're really an educated person starting from scratch. So yeah, I built it in my career so that it was diversified, lots of different places to go, lots of things to draw from. So when I started to get into private practice, then I started to weed out what didn't work and started to build what did. And I realized that there's all these simple processes that we, for whatever reason, stopped using. I think it's really a lot of outside influences that come in. And if I can put these into a program and teach people how to use these simple things that we all have, life gets better. So I started doing that about 25 years ago. I developed a program about 20 years ago, started using it. So I've used it with I think I'm around 2,200 people now in my private practice, and no one seems to not be able to do this. Everyone grabs it and runs with it and says just what you said. This is easy, and they're telling me just how to do it. Why wasn't someone telling me this before? So it got to that point, and I said, well, let's put it into a book now. I'm getting near the end of the counseling career. Let's get into a book and start getting the public educated.
And it is, and I love the way that you set up each chapter too. So you have your title, so you know what it's about. Then you have a quote, and the quote is a direct relation to whatever's coming up, and then you have what processes you're going to be using during this chapter, and then at the end of the chapter, you have like a little recap thing and the time to put things into action. So there's your action steps on what you can do. So it's really hitting home, and then it's got driving it home, and then onward. And the onward is a thing that goes to the next chapter and the next situation, the next natural step that you would take. And but now, that being said, now not everybody would have to read it and go chapter to chapter to chapter. They can jump around, correct?
Yeah, you can read any way you want to. It's as you said, when I put this into text, I thought, well, I don't want to do one or two or three things. Like you said, it's what self-help tends to be. 12 ways to do this and fix this in your world. I wanted it to be a book that anyone could read, that would apply to all different life situations. And for some people, some of those chapters mean more than other chapters, and they're going to maybe want to skip around. They're going to reread those chapters a little bit more, and that's okay. The key is that every one of them attacks a particular problem and shows you exactly what to do with it. And if you're an angry person, that chapter is going to come and get you. If you're a people pleaser, that one's going to get you. If if you're
Right.
honesty or whatever, those chapters are going to jump out. I advise people to read all of it, but some are just going to be emphasized a little more than the others, and that's okay. Whatever it takes to get someone feeling good, that's what we try to do.
Yeah, and it really is so well written. It's really so easy to digest. And you have cute stories like Rolling in the Poison Patch. I printed that one out. I was like, I like that one. The Good Deed, even things like this. Now, this is something that is instilled into us, naturally, right? The Good Deed. So here's this child, right? Do you want to tell the story?
Really, it's just about knowing that we should be doing the right thing all the time. Our world has come to the point that if we do simple little things that are nice for each other, we think it's a wonderful thing, but really it's what we should be doing. That's what that whole story is all about. And that story is actually a true one. That's my father and I. That's really what was going on. I came home one day and had carried someone's groceries home. It was a friend of the family. And, I'm telling him this and he's just nodding, and I'm telling him again and he's nodding again. And finally he says, look, I'm glad that you did this. You helped someone out, but it's really what you should be doing. Feel good about doing it, but don't pat yourself on the back, and look for the next person to go help. And that's the way we should be living life.
Oh, the world would be such a better place for doing that.
So
It would be.
Yeah. I mean, that's, constant. We had this discussion right before, before you came on. We were talking about that, and a lot of people.
Everybody is so into like, go do a good deed for somebody and post it here so we can know that you did it.
It should be a secret. No one should know. It should just be kind of a deal between you and that other person. And that person, you go out and you tell everyone that you helped this person, but that person was probably in a vulnerable position. So while you're bragging about yourself, you're telling about the weak moment that other person had. And you probably didn't say, well, gee, do you mind if I go tell everybody that I helped you?
Yeah,
You don't want to do that because it would sound silly to even ask such a question. But yeah, we go do it then.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when you're in the drive-through of for us, it's Tim Hortons, and I'm going through and I say, well, I want to pay for the person behind me. This is something that like it's like people are amazed when others do this. It's like, why should we be amazed?
Yeah.
If we're all decent people, we're all good people, just do it.
Yeah, and then some people will do that, like on the highway and tolls. Now we have all the electronic things, but there's sometimes people that still have to pay money, and they'll say, they'll give them like $20 and say, hey, do the next, as many people as that can buy, and those are great, those are awesome. But the good deeds that we really need to be doing, help our neighbors and help our, our communities and stuff like that with what we can, would go more, too.
Mm-hmm.
But you go into all these different things, and I love the categories. Even when I printed this one out too, because this is hilarious to me. As I'm reading and I see ghost screaming, I do paranormal investigating, and I'm going, I'm not gonna go yell at ghosts. No, I'm reading it and I'm going, I do this a lot. I really do. So explain what ghost screaming is and why people do it.
Ghost screaming is what we do internally, how we get ourselves crazy over a situation that usually can be solved very simply by going to the person we have to deal with, confronting that person and calmly, warmly, and saying, look, I've got this on my mind. Maybe you did this, or you should have done this, or whatever, and just tell them what you feel. But by the time we're done hyping this in our own mind, we have now decided how that is going to fail. The other person difficult and scream and do whatever they're going to do. No matter what we do, it's not going to happen. So we get ourselves so worked up, and we get to the point that we have that conversation in our head. The next thing we know, since we now have gotten so anxious over this situations, we're having the conversation and it's getting emotional. And now we're almost screaming at the other person and yelling at them and telling them how horrible they are. And
it hasn't even happened.
And it hasn't happened. And then we work ourselves up so much that we say, we don't even approach it. The whole situation goes down, and then it starts over again. And it's a repeating process. And usually we find if we would just go to the person, it might be a little difficult, but it's not that bad. It's not what we thought it was.
It's not as bad as we make it out, make it out to be in our own minds. Yeah.
And sometimes we're doing this, we're having this conversation, we're walking around, and someone just happens to come near us and we don't know it, and they see the hands going and and all this kind of stuff. What are you doing? We say nothing. And almost everyone does this. No one ever admits. If you say that, do you? That's no, my God, not me.
I do it. When I was reading this, well, there's a lot of things in here that I do. And I'm finding that there are two sides to every coin here. There really are.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going, all right, well, I can be positive. I can be honest. I can be all the, let me see. You know what? I even wrote this stuff down. Right? Yeah, I can be positive, intelligent, powerful, passionate, truthful, honest, and helpful. I can be all those things. On the other hand, I can be negative, stupid, weak, void of emotions, or burnt out, dishonest, and selfish. But to me, and after reading this book, it's like, okay, well, what are you going to feed? So it's what you feed, what's going to live, right?
Yeah, I talk about training your brain, and we've trained it to move in a more negative direction. I always tease people, I say that's why I've had job security for 4 decades, because people keep training their brains to do that negative stuff, like ghost screaming or being dishonest or not confronting people, negative thinking, negative energy. And I tell them that all you're doing is it's a learning process, and learning is nothing more in your brain than repetition over time. That's really all it is. So the more you do something positive, the more your brain gets used to it and it learns it, and then that becomes what you do. But if when I counsel people, I say, tell me how much of your day is spent with negative energy. And when they really get honest, it's 30, 40%. That's a lot of time, because the rest of the time isn't positive. It's more neutral. Getting this done, getting that done, something at work,
Your
whatever you have to do.
routines that you
So,
talked
you
about.
know, the negative almost always outweighs the positive when you take the neutral out of the picture. So that's, and I tell them, and they say, well, repetition over time. I said, well, here's the proof. You've been doing all this negative stuff for years. Your brain learned it. It was repetition over time for your brain. It learned it. You do it every day automatically. You don't even think about it. It's a default way you work. How about if you take some time, get conscious about it, and program the positive stuff into it? It changes, and your brain adjusts to it.
It does. It does.
Yep.
I'm living proof. As I was growing up, the person that I was growing up is nothing at all like who I am now. There was something on the TV the other day about toxic positivity, and I went, there's no such thing as toxic positivity. So long as you accept the fact that there are negative things going on in your life, like my boss is a meanie, but hey, you know what? She's my sister, so she's allowed to be, type of thing, you know, whatever the case may be. But for every situation, I can and always do find the positive in it, no matter what the situation. There's always a positive. You just have to look.
And that's why I always go to her when I am going.
I have been known to wake up in the mornings to a verbal tirade of her. I'm just like, get it out, because holding it in doesn't do much better. So I was like, okay, yeah, do it. Tirade out at me. Hiya, gorgeous. Tirade it out at me. And then when I hear it and I listen to it, and then I go and I give her a voicemail back. I'm like, so are we feeling better now? It's like, okay.
But she will find a positive way for me to look at it and be like, I didn't even think of it that way. I didn't look at it that way, because I tend to jump into that, right away.
Mm-hmm.
What I've always taught people is slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Emotion, negativity are connected by the speed in which they occur. And when you sit back and say, all right, let me slow down here. Let me get the facts. Let me think about how I want to handle this.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. Go back a year and a half ago, the pandemic hits, and everybody's crazy and reacting all over the place. And somebody goes on TV and says, make sure you have all your paper products.
Oh, yeah.
Toilet paper.
Everybody got nuts, and we couldn't find toilet paper.
Right.
Okay. If everyone would have stood, slowed it down and said, okay, let me think about this. What if I have to quarantine? Maybe I come up positive, or they think I do, or whatever. I'm going to have to stay in my house. This isn't, the bomb went off and nobody has anything. We have family and friends who absolutely would have come to your house and put the supplies on your porch, and you give them their money, and that's the end. Everyone would have been okay, but instead we hoarded everything we possibly could.
Yeah.
And a lot of people threw half of that out after the pandemic ended. And so it was going so fast, and everyone was emotional and getting angry, when all you do is slow down and say, let me think about this. Let me get my information. That's all I'm doing in the book. Present the problem, get the information, go to the solution. It's a thing I call present, understand, fix. Present the problem, get all the information you can, slowly think about what you want to do. And that's those steps you're talking about.
Right. And then along and with that is to keep the emotions out of it. So you have like 7 steps that keep emotions out of it. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, again, it's one of those things where when you're dealing with emotion, and I just presented one of the first ones, is slow down. And I tell people, if you must do breathing exercises, put things in your life that meditation or whatever that will help you slow down. That's such an important key to getting those emotions out of the way, because what we're looking to do is get your intellect working first. It doesn't mean, and I say to people, get your emotions out, they think, I'm going to turn them into Mr. Spock or something. All I'm talking about is get your intellect first.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay. When you go fast, your intellect's reacting to negativity, anger, and fear. When you slow it down and get the facts, your emotions are now expressing factual information, which now can be positive. And that's how you want your emotions to be. But you can't do it by going, 100 miles an hour. And that's what we do. We hear something, we react, and then we act. That's why you see all these posts on Facebook and everywhere else. Then you look and say, why in the world would you post something like that? Because they didn't think, they got angry, they attacked, and they settled scores, or we've decided that we all have to have the podium every so often, and we post something that, when you look back at it a week later, you say, I posted that.
Yeah, exactly.
Know,
what the hell was I thinking?
Even if you take it down, a lot of people saw it.
That's the end of it.
Some people have screenshotted. It's going to haunt you. So, yeah. I mean,
that's why people need.
Did this the other day. Someone wrote me something. I tried to do a good deed. Someone asked me for a favor because I knew somebody and said, "Can you talk to them for me?" I did that. I said, really didn't want to, but I will because they asked me. So that's being helpful, right? Not being a people pleaser, just helping a friend, right? So I asked. This person barked at me. I can't control that person. I can't control the way they're going to answer me. So I tried, they're like, please stop. And I said, okay, yep. But
I'll tell you what you find is, if you're a person that acts emotionally, you will find that the rest of the world acts emotionally around you. If you're quiet, people tend to be quiet. If you deal with the world in positive terms, they want to do that, because the very fact that you're being positive and then they are negative really shows the difference in the two people.
Right.
You don't see it too much if two people are negative and two people are in the drama. But if you're positive and someone goes negative, they catch themselves, and what you'll see them doing is explaining themselves and backtracking and trying to go positive. So I just try to be positive around everyone, because I would like that feedback to come in my direction. I think it makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
You know what I would like to do? I'd like to have a bunch of your handbooks on hand, and then when I'm dealing with these people,
there you go.
Like, here, read this, and then get back to me, okay? We can have a discussion then. Yeah. I really seriously would. I would love to do that. It would be perfect, because everybody is covered in here, whether you're struggling or not. Everybody is covered in this book. You seriously do. Even your chapter on lying, I adored. I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. Why people lie. And again, for the most part, honesty is always the best policy.
You don't have time to waste lying, so why lie?
And that's the point. Your life is going by. The moment that just passed, you can't get back.
Nope.
And I say to people, are you thinking about that? Because when it's all said and done, it's not going to be about, gee, I went to Disneyland, or I did this, and these 100 or 200 things you did that were magnificent in your life. Because when you string them all together, you might get a year out of it. And all the rest of your life, what was the rest of it all about? That's what the whole thing is. And you should be able to be happy in all the moments of your life. And the little things should set the tone for how you live life. But we look for grandiose destinations to get there. Yeah. It's a journey. You want to be on that every day, and you want it to be positive. I start my day with the first statement is, I'm going to have a good day. I'm going to make this day good. It sounds crazy, but that's a decision I make when I get up in the morning. I have decided, and a lot of people get up and, that 5 minutes, because really the 5 minutes before you get out of bed, that sets the tone for your day. People don't understand that. And if you get up and you start worrying, and I got to get to work, and I hate this thing, and oh man, I got to do that today. Well, you're way off track already.
Yeah.
Anything about your day you can't handle, get up, make the decision. I am going to do whatever I have to do today to make my world good, be productive, and be happy. If you make that decision and you learn to implement things, it works every day.
Yeah, and it's not something that's difficult. People think, oh my God, I got to think of something positive. Dude, you woke up. How more positive can you be? It's like, I have issues. I did the splits 2 years ago. Not a good idea at 57 years old. Just warning people out there. And I wake up in pain, but I wake up. That's the point. The pain reminds me I'm alive, that I'm still able to do whatever. And it's like, yo, pain, deal with it. I'm not sure who's got to deal with more, me or the pain, because I can be a pain to the pain. So, it's as silly as it sounds, you have to make that, like you say, make that decision in the morning. Sure, wake up and find that positive. You're awake. You're alive. You're breathing. There are other people who are not.
You know,
I'm walking around in pain. There are people who can't walk. So find that moment of positivity and just let it lead your day. So yeah,
It's a word.
I like this guy.
Gratitude.
I really
Gratitude.
like this guy.
what I've been telling people is because everyone says, you find this, you find that. I say, you can do that. Why don't you create it? Instead of looking for it, why don't you decide the person you want to be and then go create it? That's what the book is all about. You're not creating the person I want you to be. You're learning how to be a creative person who's passionate about your life, who's honest, who's productive. You're learning to create that. Look at the way we think. We're coming out of the pandemic, and what are we doing? Looking for the new normal. I don't know what that could possibly be. You create your normal. That's what you do.
Yes.
And then you become the person you want to be. If you don't do that, you're stuck trying to look at and determine what everyone else wants from you. And maybe you get 5 minutes of acceptance. The rest of the time, you're not going to, because they're stuck in their negativity too. Yeah. Create your positive world. You create it.
Right. Right. And a lot of people struggle with being positive, and I always say too. And this I learned through the 12 steps. And there's kind of, bits and pieces of that thrown into your 52 million.
It's very 12 step.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so there's a lot of it in there. And I look at it, but I've always said that too. The gratitude list is so important, because and you always do that too, that the keeping up with the Joneses. You could be just, you have everything. You have a roof over your head, you have food in your belly, you have a job, whatever, you have your significant other, those are all things to be really grateful for. And then you go into too, the difference of what you need, like survival, what you need to survive, and what you want, and it's completely different things.
Well, and that's what we get caught up in, the teenager that comes in the office and says, I need a new cell phone. And I said, when did you get the last one? Last year. Does it still work? Yeah, it works great, but the new one's out and it does these other things. I need that. I said, no, you don't. I said, all you need is a phone that allows you to make your telephone call, maybe text if you want to. So that's all you need. The rest of it is what you want. And that new phone is going to cost you, she says, $1,800. And I said, $1,800 for a phone. Nope. How will you pay? Oh, it's not a problem. They wrap it up in my bill once a month. I said, so it's an extra what, $100?
Yeah, and then you get finance.
Norm, what do we need? We need food. We need water. We need shelter. Safety. Those are the needs. Those kinds of things. Yeah. The rest of it are all desires. And when you get caught up in thinking that your desire is something you need, then your world gets very complicated. Right. And you're never happy, because you're always looking for the next quick fix.
Exactly.
That's just what it is. Quick. It happens fast and it dies quick.
Yeah. And the Joneses down the street, they got a new car. So you got to get a new car? No. My car is old. It's paid for, and it gets me from A to B just as much as that Lexus down the street does, that they're paying, $500, $600, $700 a month for. Right. And I pay nothing. My insurance is lower. Everything is lower, just so what? So you can ride in luxury for your trip to the grocery store?
Well, when you're living like that, people take advantage of you. We came out of a pandemic. They saw everyone is still excited and nervous, and they're in that mode where they're trying to acquire everything. So now in our area, to buy a house, first of all, the inventory is down to next to nothing. People are listing their homes who want to sell them 20, 30% above, people are coming in and they're now having bidding wars, and you can sell your house and make 70,000 over what you asked for, not over what the house is worth. The house may be worth 150. You may ask 200, and somebody's going to pay 250 because everyone now is back into I have to have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
So
status.
and so it's ridiculous. So what'll happen is a year from now, the bottom will fall out, and the $250,000 home you thought you bought is now back to being worth 180, and you are paying your insurance that will only cover the 180 because that's what your house is worth, but you have 250 invested in it, and if you have to sell it, you're going to take a 50, 60, $70,000 loss because you had to have it now.
Yep.
Yeah. And again, that's it. Slow down. You know,
Think
I
it
came,
through. Get all the facts.
right. So you live in Pennsylvania. I live in
Right.
Pennsylvania. You know, we're like a couple hours apart. But I was from Massachusetts. Massachusetts, the houses are very expensive. You know, I sold my house and bought this freaking
Castle.
mansion castle,
Castle.
right? For I mean, if this house that I paid what I paid for it up in Massachusetts would be like $1 million house easy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't even pay anywhere close to that down here. There's no way. You know, taxes are high, but the house cost was nothing. You know what I mean? Not compared to up there. But I looked at 100 houses before I bought this one. You know, I did. I took my time. You know, because I mean I have several houses in now. You know, so now this is hopefully going to be the last one. I said that with the last one. Who knows? Who knows?
The next one's going to have wheels.
But then, yeah, and if I do it again, if we move, Bob, we're going to something smaller. You know, this house is killing me. It's
going to be a Winnipeg. You're going to travel up here to Canada.
Maybe had one of those too. Got rid of that because yeah, my late husband was one of those had to have things. Well, that was he had to have a camper to go on the beach, right? So we had to pay. We bought a brand new camper, right? 32, 34, whatever, 36-foot driving camper. You know, whatever 4-wheel drive. We had to have 4-wheel drive. So the only way we could get that put into a camper was to buy it new and send it to Pennsylvania to a place, Quigley factory, where they install it, but they'll only do it and guarantee it on new vehicles. So $10,000 for that, you know, had to have that. Then he had to have air things put in the shocks that blow up like balloon thing. You know, I'm just like, oh my god! So all the guys, every time you drive out into the beach, all the guys would go up to their new rigs, their fishing rigs, and their whatever they're driving, and they would do this like all day, pounding that. Whoa, whoa, whoa! We got this and we have that, you know. And us girls would sit back and just let them go, just let them go.
You see that everywhere. It's in big things, it's in small things. But again, you know, you should also be able to feel secure. You should be able to feel, okay, I got something I like, but it didn't hurt me financially. It doesn't cause me worry. It doesn't cause me to say, you know, how am I going to pay this bill? My credit card doesn't show that 10 or 20 or $30,000 balance. You know, I got all these things I want, but you know, by the time I'm done with my monthly payments, I'm not getting to everything. And that credit card I pay the minimum on, and I'll have that probably my entire life, or at least until I claim bankruptcy.
Yeah, right. Well, that's my point, you know, and that's what I try to instill in my kids and everything else too, and everyone I talk to. You know, if you can't afford it, don't get it. You know, if you don't need it, is it life threatening? You know, it's not life threatening, then don't get it. You know, yeah, no, you don't need to have the newest and latest phones. You don't need to have the biggest and shiniest car. You know, as long as you're getting to work and you're getting back and forth and you're getting the things that you need, it doesn't have to be the most expensive thing if you can't afford it. If you can, do it. You know, when that was my late husband, he could afford that. Okay, me, no, I was kind of like, you know, I was scared of the whole thing, but you know, he said we could afford it. We did. We had it paid for. You know, he was a roofer and a construction guy, so he made good money, you know. So I'm like, all right, you know. But me now, I'm just like, yeah, I'm really frugal, you know, unless it's a fox. I need fox.
Yeah, this is a fox.
Yeah, if it's a fox, I got to get that fox.
No,
It's
Gotta
into
have
the
it.
under
the other thing I
curls.
tell people about when you're going crazy trying to, I call it the acquisition merry-go-round. The more as you're acquiring things, you don't realize how stressful that is, and people are getting sick. They're coming up, the amount of people on antidepressants and anxiety medications today. When I started counseling, maybe 5% of the people came in. Now it's more like 80, 75, 80% of the people who come in my office are already on medication.
Wow.
Now,
Wow.
the
I
world
think people are
isn't
too
that
quick to do
horrible.
that.
It's what we're doing to ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
buying into this. Get what you want, and if the symptoms start, medicate the symptoms. And if you look at on television now, you see all these prescription drug commercials. Well, why think to yourself, why would those commercials be on television? Because we can't buy the medication. It has to be prescribed by a doctor. So why would they
Yep.
sell? They're not selling the medication. They're selling a drug culture. They're teaching us that the only way to live and live healthy is to get on these medications. So people do whatever they want, and then they just go on the medication, which for a while,
Yeah, if you're happy, take a pill.
until
If
it
you're sad,
betrays your
take a
body
pill.
and you're sick again.
Yeah. All those things. Yeah, all those things. Every emotion. Take a pill. Take a pill. Take a pill. Put your kids on pills. I hate it. I hate it.
I've
Yeah.
got 5-year-olds coming in on these things. I've got 10, 12, 11-year-old kids that are coming in and they're on light doses of antidepressants. If they're going to live 50, 60 more years, that's how they're going to live?
Yeah.
That's not living.
No, but that's the culture that's being taught to us. That's why these
Mm-hmm.
on TV, it's very cartel-like when you look at it. It's one of the biggest businesses we have in this country, telling you that you must do it their way, and then you'll be happy. Go eat whatever you want to eat, then take this diabetes medicine, which eventually will lead to all the other complications in your body anyway.
Yeah.
So why not just eat properly, get your weight
Avoid
down,
it.
and you'll
Yeah.
come off the medication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Avoid it altogether. Yeah.
Right.
Go right to the source. And that's what you're saying. Use your intellect over.
Think it through.
Right. And write it
Don't
down.
follow the crowd. Following the crowd is a parade going in circles. That's all it is. And you jump in the end of the parade and walk in circles around with these people. And for what? You don't even know where you're going. When I say to people, you're doing that, why? Tell me why you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Then they start giving me simple answers that don't make any sense. And eventually they'll say, well, it's what everyone does. It's what we do. I said, well, that's not an answer. I asked you why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Because everyone else does it. So you don't know why. And if you don't know why, how can you determine where you're going and be productive and be happy? Because the only thing you have in front of you is following the crowd that you don't know. You're riding someone else's wave. Again, that's kind of the analogy. I tell people, create your own wave and ride that. It's yours. It's fun. Let it be yours. If they want to follow you, great.
Right.
You be the one leading.
Right. My dad used to always say, if they all jump off the bridge, you're going to jump off the bridge.
Oh my God. Do all fathers say that?
They all say it, so we had to say it to our kids, we got to pass that little tidbit along. So, let's not all go to the bridge. Excuse me. But also now you bring up things, and I think this is important too, is about boundaries and boundary thieves. So those are your two key terms. So we kind of talk about that a lot here. Some people that don't know how to make their boundaries with the people that are hurting them or taking advantage of them. So what's an easy process, and what would they need to do?
Again, you're going slow. You're saying to yourself, okay, you start with, what is the person doing that either hurts me or causes me pain or makes me afraid or just makes me angry because they shouldn't be doing it. Now you're going to look at that and you're going to say, okay, now what do I want to happen here? And that's really the boundary. I want that person to stop taking my stuff. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's your boundary. Now then it's learning how to communicate that to the person. Because again, now you're back to, like that old ghost screaming thing. Now you're into I gotta go tell this person who continually does this thing to me and is rude enough to do this that I don't want them to do it anymore. And then you start figuring out what you're going to do. And I simply say, you go to them. First of all, if they are rude enough to
There's plenty of those people.
boundaries and hurt you, losing them as a friend isn't a big deal. So that's what you ask yourself. What's the worst that could happen here? They don't want to be around me. Okay, if they don't want to be around you, it all stops. Or maybe they are good people, but they're doing the wrong thing because you're letting them.
Yeah.
So tell them you do not want this to happen. That's part A. Part B is the harder part, which is when you defend it, because they are not going to pay it. If they were rude enough to do it to begin with, they're probably rude enough to continue.
And there are so many people like this. I swear to God.
Said no does not mean they're going to stop. Now it comes to boundary defense.
Right.
If you, and that is an if-then statement. If you do this, then I will whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're taking the candy off my desk, I won't bring the candy in. I'll lock it in my drawer. Whatever. I will do these things. They will then try to make you feel like you're the one that's wrong. I can't believe you're behaving like this.
Yeah.
No,
it's just candy.
They're the victim. Yeah,
and the issue is about respect. I told you don't. You went and did it. So it isn't about the candies. It is about your disrespect of me.
Yep.
If I tell you that's mine, don't touch it. Don't touch it.
Right.
If you do this, then I'm going to hide it, or I'm going to say, I really don't want to bother with you anymore, whatever it may be. And so then you're telling them what's going to happen if they do decide to cross the boundary.
Yes.
But if they do it, then you can't back down. Otherwise, you've now told them that your boundary is nothing. Yeah. I'll come, I get angry at you, and then you'll do it again, and I'll say, okay.
This is my boundary person right here, JoJo. She has had her boundaries have been just obliterated, and it's family though that obliterate.
They're the worst.
Yeah, because you can't. You can walk away from a friendship, but family members are family members. It's not so easy to walk away. However, you can. You can, and even children can, and they can divorce their family, divorce their parents and whatnot. What's the word?
Emancipate.
Yes.
Yeah.
They can leave. They can, and so it's not impossible, but it's tougher. And it's really tough when you have family members that are just abusing you in that, like, the worst possible kinds of ways.
Yeah.
And it really messes with your mind too, because these are people that you're supposed to trust.
Well, again, it's about confronting situations. If you have to be able to feel that you're worthy, you're worth it, that people should respect you. And if you tell them that that's just the way it's going to be, they either comply or they're not part of your life. Or you're going to make changes. If it's a family, if it's a child, it's one of the kids, and they continue to do that, they typically depend on us. So we're going to pull something. You know what? I'm not paying for that for you anymore. You did that. Why should I be there and give you all these things that you don't need, and then you treat me this way?
Yeah.
But it can be a vicious cycle. I mean, that the insanity part of it, doing the same thing over and over and over and over and expecting different results.
People don't cross our boundaries because it's that obviously they're not being very nice. They cross our boundaries, however, because we don't have them or we let them. Yeah. It's the only way someone can cross a boundary is if we allow it to happen.
Yeah.
And if the type of person that they're going to get abusive, then you can leave. You always have options. They may not be comfortable options to you. Right. Leaving is never comfortable. Leaving you get lots of questions and lots of new territory that's unfamiliar and scary. But you make a decision. If I go start over, and I don't have this toxic stuff that's happening to me, maybe my life gets better. But, staying in it, well, it might be that little comfort zone. Boy, am I paying a big price for the comfort zone.
Yeah.
Right.
I actually had this conversation with a young lady today, but it had nothing to do with her family. She had to go see her doctor today, and she has back issues, and she's had them since she was born. She's got this fusion in her spine. I can't remember exactly what it is. And she had to go see the doctors today. And she says, I really don't want to, because all they're going to tell me is I need to lose weight and have a gastric bypass surgery. I was like, excuse me, that's not what they're supposed to tell you. They're supposed to listen to you. I said, you need to, tell them that's not what I want. She says, yeah, but I'm so tired of them focusing on my weight. I said, well, then tell them. I said, you are an amazing young lady. I said, you have an amazing amount of caring and abilities to help other people to the point where you overextend yourself physically. I said, if you go in there and the doctor starts to say, well, you need to say, you know what, doc, thanks for your opinion, but it's just your opinion. I know it's not all about, because she hasn't always been a big girl. It's just with the issues of not being able to do what she needs to do physically to get better because she's in too much pain. I was like, just go to another doctor. You need to work on something else. The losing the weight will come as after effect of being able to have some pain management. So it's like, she says, yeah, but I'm so tired. I said, yeah, but just tell them that, I'm going to use nice words, just tell them to shut up. When it comes to that, you can. Okay, I know I'm in Canada, y'all are in the States, but there's a way to get another doctor. You're not stuck with one for the rest of your life. So just tell them, hey, you know what? Thanks, your opinion. I think I'm going to go find somebody else's opinion that works with what I need to get done.
Again, we always have options.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's, as you were talking, I'm thinking to myself, we're real good at advocating when we want the new cell phone. I want that. I have to have that.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to taking care of ourselves, for some reason we fall apart, and what the reason is it causes us to change, which we hate and we fear, and it causes us to hold ourselves accountable, and we have to now go get a little uncomfortable. And when we factor those things in it, none of us want to do that. We want everything we want everything to be given to us, or we want to acquire it without all the work.
Yeah,
that's why
we want everything to be smooth and not have any bumps in the road.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't like change. We don't like discomfort. But unfortunately, no growth occurs when everything is the same.
Mm-hmm.
You must go take risks. You must experience change, and that uncomfortable feeling, it's uncomfortable because you're growing. That's why it's uncomfortable.
You have to fall down and get hurt to be able to get up and get better.
Exactly. What's the worst that can happen?
Somebody says no. And then I say, okay.
Yeah.
I always tell people, challenge yourself, change things up a little bit. Don't stay in the same routines. Don't keep
step out of your box.
Make yourself comfortable. Challenge yourself. Get uncomfortable. Learn how to deal with that and overcome that uncomfortable feeling. That's where growth is, and then you will no longer be afraid of it.
Right. And now again, I'm going to reference back to your book, how you wrote it in the book about this, about making a change. But a lot of people will be like, oh, well, that's not me. And then you read like, well, you get up and you do this and you drive to work and you get your coffee and you do, you do these same things every single day because you're on that little treadmill, and you're following the thing. So you get in your car, you go to Dunkin' Donuts, you go to the work, you go all these things all the time. So if you drive down the main street to work, maybe take a side street. Maybe go the other way. Don't go to Dunkin's. Go to Starbucks. Just do something different just to break up that routine. But but a lot of people will be like, "Well, it's not me." But if you think about it that way, yeah, it is you.
Well, it has to be. It has to be because that's the way the human mind works. The human mind wants to find routines that constantly don't challenge, make us feel comfortable, make us feel happy. So it's always looking for that. So when someone says, no, that's not me, yeah, it is. You may be happier with your particular routine, but it is a routine. The question I ask people is, tell me how you change things up all the time. Be specific and tell me that, and that's when the conversation stops. Well, no, well, I did this last week. I said, well, that's wonderful, but you're not introducing change that will challenge you. It's the two C's, I
Mm-hmm.
would say. It's change and challenge. You can change the routine. I'm going to go to that different place to eat. Yeah, but that's not a challenge. Maybe there'll be a couple new
Yeah,
people there,
but it's just
but
something to get you spark to
right,
thinking
yeah,
that way. To
right. But
I'm
if
in
you
this
said,
rut.
I don't know how to do this particular thing, now I've got to go take maybe a class to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to maybe take me 3 or 4 months and maybe a little investment. And then people will say, well, I don't have the money. And I will say, you bought how much beer and cigarettes this week? You always have it. It depends how you
Yes,
spend it.
Yeah,
exactly.
what you prioritize. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I always tell people, challenge yourself. You'll know you're growing if you're uncomfortable. If you
Yeah.
are if you are not getting uncomfortable, you're not growing.
Right.
You're
Mm-hmm.
staying where you are. If you take a college course, you say, okay, geez, I don't care, something simple, photography. It's a whole lot easier to grab your camera and go out and start snapping things. Then they say, wait a minute, we're going to learn about lenses today. And there's 20 different lenses, and you're going to learn about magnification. And now you're going to memorize, wait, this is going to take some time.
Work.
And we're going
Mm-hmm.
to talk about color, darkness, and light, and shadows, and all these things you never knew. It's work. But when that course is over and you put all the time in and how to take the tests and everything else, you are now closer to being a professional photographer. What do you want to do? Be the person that snaps in the camera into whatever, or the person who knows exactly what to do? Because that's the one who you see and say, wow, you really take good pictures, rather than the one over here and says, well, that's not even in the center.
Yeah.
Right.
Who do you want to be? It takes time. When I wrote the book, I didn't just start writing, and many authors do that. I took a year of my time and investigated the entire publication industry, everything from how books are written, the publishing people, copy editors, agents, publicists. I wanted to know the whole thing. Then I looked at how you write a book and how you design it. So when you're saying, gee, I like that design, I took a lot of time so that when the time came for me to write the book, I knew what design was going to be. And then after I started it,
Fill
I
it
did 3 research projects with college kids to see how they were responding to this. So I had in college, it's various ages, so that I knew that this was getting where it needed to go. That was 2 years. Then I started writing the book. The book took me 18 months to write. But people say, how long was the whole process? I say 3 years, 3.5 years. They say it takes that long to write a book. I said, only if you want to do it right. The next book will take me 18 months or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've
It takes
learned
what it
the
takes.
entire industry.
But
Before I
this is
started doing interviews, and I'm at about 110 now in the past year, I sat down and said, let's look at the interview format. Let's look at all the ways I'm going to do it. So when you said StreamYard, I said, okay, I know what I'm doing there. I knew how the camera had to be set up. I know what the specs the cameras are using for that, because they're not all the same in Zoom and what. Everything's
Right.
different. If you know what you're doing, get a clear picture, upload times, all those things. People are not doing that. They're just jumping right in. It's the old story. I got the thing in the mail that I have to put together. It has 20 pieces, and I just start. But the instruction sheet's right there. Why don't you take 15 minutes and read that first? If you do that, you're going to put half the amount of time into building it, and you're going to swear much less. Nothing will be broken, and that rotten company that you bought it from in China should blow up. Right?
Yeah.
That is so funny. Well, I have a book in process. I've had it in process for a long time. It's going to take me a long time to do it because I'm that anal. I'm that methodical. I'm that, you know, that's what I'm saying. This is the best book. And I'm glad you call it again a handbook, because it is it's, I read a lot. Look, I read a lot of books. I have a lot of people on the show that talk about all these things. Like I said, you go through so many processes, so many different areas and aspects in day to day every single person's life. You cover everything, and I just adore that. I want to be that. I want to write a book that has that kind of enthusiasm
Impact.
from someone who's read it. What I mean? That's what I want. I don't want to just put the book out to get it done. You know, so that's my goal. It would be definitely to do what you have done here. So if you write another book, I definitely want it because I know it will be this good, if not better.
Well, the next book is actually going to be Fix Yourself Handbook 2. This book is designed to get people to the next level, but we all know what happens when you get to the next level. Since you don't know how to live there, it's like a diet. I said I'm gonna lose these 50 pounds, and then I get there, and next thing I know, I feel I've got the goal, and I'm done working, and
I'll go back for that burger, donuts, whatever. Yeah.
so the next book is going to be designed to help you stay at the level that you've the new level you've arrived at. I think that's a lot. Again, that's another thing I think is missing in self-help. People write the book and say, do this, and then they don't tell you how to live at the new level. So
Yeah.
let's do that. Let's give people a chance to understand what the new way of life that they're coming into is and how they should function at that level.
Yeah.
Very simple.
It's like being told that you need to lose weight. Let's have the gastric bypass surgery and you're clear. But it's not that simple.
No.
That might be a starting point, and even that's not the starting point. There's other steps you have to do before that. So everything starts somewhere, and your starting point was when you chose to write this book. You did research on everything that led up to. The 2 years was a lead up to. You were following those breadcrumbs, and eventually, we baked a cake, and that was the book. But it's still not the final. It's not totally finished because everybody who gets to taste it, gets to digest it, gets to give their opinion on how it made them feel.
And then there's the steps in the middle. You write the book and you say, this is great. I've done it. And then the copy,
you got to do the advertising.
The copy editor gets it. And that's sort of like your first a couple months when you're in high school in English, and you write that paper,
those red marks,
term paper, and it comes back with 300 red marks. So I did this, and it had at the time about 290 pages, and they wanted to cut it down, and that was fine. But my copy editor, who's a fantastic woman, she just helped me become a professional writer, not just a good writer. It comes back, and I had it post. That's where you could just go, and I said, it's time for me to rethink this. Who is this person going to be in my life now? And so either is going to be my nemesis, take me in the basement and beat me, or she's going to be my best friend in the world. Pick. I decided on the second one. And I said, I will just go through the comments one at a time. There's no time limit on it. I don't want to get it done by the weekend because I want to go out and play. If it takes me a month, 6 weeks to go through it, that's what I will do. And then I did it. She came back. She says, great. That's what we call a line edit. Now we're going to go into the second edit. And I said, huh? So she comes back and she comes back with them all again. Much higher level, but now we're going to go through that. So now there's another month and a half, get that all done. She gets back and says, now we're there. So now we have one more edit to do. I said, what is that? Which is your formatting edit. That's when we're going to prepare it for the book to actually be written as a book.
Yeah.
The page.
So my point is, I thought I was done. I had 6 more months to go. Now, you go into, okay, now I'm going to try to get an agent. And that's what everyone does. And they put together these query letters. And I said, well, time to research query letters and synopses and all those things. So I did all that. And I wrote a fantastic query letter, but I had no idea what the agents wanted. You read about it. So I contacted a person who was professional at this. And I said, this is what I'm doing. She says, if you want me to edit it, I'll edit your query letter. It cost a couple $100. I said, that's great. And she came back, said 95% great. Make these couple changes. send it out. And when I did that, I sent it to 36 or 39, whatever it was, agents in the first run, and 11 bit. So, and she's saying that's next to unheard of. You know, you're normally sent out to 100 and maybe one or two if you're lucky. So, you know, if again, it's not about, look at that guy, how great he did. It's that guy took his time. Let me go back and learn about everything, learn about what we have to do, and then plug it in. And there are people that know much more about this industry than I do.
Yeah.
It was about taking what they said. It's interesting. They told me all this stuff in the beginning. Of course, I didn't want to hear any of it, but I bit the bullet and followed it, and everything they said was right. Everything they said came true.
Yeah.
And then, you know, so now we're into, it gets published, and it's an award-winning book, and people are, you know, I'm doing a radio show, and I'm doing television, I'm doing all these things, and now people are saying, geez, maybe I can do that. I said, just get ready to do everything that you're supposed to do. If you do that, why not? Yes, you can get there, but it's all work. And even now I'm promoting, now I'm doing, you know, interviews like podcasts, and now it's that part of it takes about 12 to 15 hours a week. It's a big time part-time job. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to put that time in? You know, I was working with one of the concepts I had to work with till about 11:30 last night. You know, and then 2 hours this morning because someone came in and said, we're going to do this. Do you want to be part of it? Sure. Well, that was 2 hours, and now Eastern time it's 8 o'clock, and we're going to 10. But you get to the point where when you're doing this now, I love every minute of it. You know, I haven't done any interviews where I walked away and said, okay, I didn't learn something, I didn't meet wonderful people, and we didn't do something that was productive. Every one of them has turned out to be a huge positive experience. Yeah, but it's set up that way. That was the design said from the beginning. Am I willing to do all the work? Now I'm using the book as an example, but that's how I apply it to my life. You know, if I'm going to do this life and I want to be happy, I'm going to figure out what's going to get me happy about me inside. I want to get all those things inside me and turn them into PowerPoints. And so that whatever comes on in my life, I'm able to go with it.
Right. You can tell that. You can tell that by reading it, that you actually live this, you know, so it's not like you're just preaching steps. I know we have to take commercial break. She's waving. Yep, I know. We'll take our commercial break. Yes, we will. But that's the point. Is you definitely know that you do live your life like this.
You're not just preaching it. You're living it.
You have to. If you don't live it, why preach it? That's my opinion. If you tell someone,
there's not a lot of people out there that do that.
Not as I do. You know, I'm doing it, and if I'm doing it, I am understanding where your problems are. So that's why I can move you to the next level.
Yeah.
All right, let's do our commercial breaks. I'm going to play 3 little commercials, and then we'll be back, and we'll pick this right back up again. You're so fascinating. The Fox Den is now proudly sponsored by Vortex Ghost Gear, one of the leading fabricators of paranormal equipment. Bob Christopher is the founder and creator of Vortex Ghost Gear. He has decades of investigating, starting with his team at NEPA, and as lead in the popular local TV show Ghost Detectives, he has experience of how spirits could be seen or heard. Using this knowledge, he has manufactured equipment for specific scenarios of spirit manifestation and communication. He is the only manufacturer of the popular lifelike trigger prop cats and dogs. Using proximity meters wired to lights and sound, these prove to be highly effective communication devices in the field of study. The HTO, another Vortex exclusive, allowing specific items to be the highlight or trigger of your investigation. For example, place the item on a metal tray or attach directly to any metal object such as keys or glasses that continue to go missing or moved. Ask the spirit to touch the item. The HTO will light. It has a sound option as well. This device was used in Travel Channel's Ghost Nation with great results. The Dome, a static detector, can be the most useful device in your gear bag. This is to back up the theory that the spirits manifest using static electricity. Using several, you can track a spirit, for example, walking down a hallway, setting off each as it passes. The geophone detects vibrations. This is another way to track movement. If a claim is footsteps in the hallway or stairwell, set the sensitivity and place the device in that area. Its band of lights will show a range of vibrations from the slightest tapping, lighting only a few lights, to the loudest thumping, lighting the entire range. The Easy Scan Ghost boxes are very popular due to the ease of use. They are custom decorated to the individual or team using them. Bob programs and uses an Arduino-based computer scanning FM waves to potentially communicate with the spirit realm in real time. Every box is unique and all custom hand decorated by Gina Bankston. The V-Pod has a special place for those who love the idea of REM pods. Use this sleeker, smaller, easier to transport device. It is a must-have in your gear bag. Take your investigating to the next level with many of Vortex Ghost Gear's unique and custom creations by Bob Christopher. Visit www.vortexghostgear.com to view all the products and get your equipment today. You can also investigate with Bob and Gina with ghostly excursions, taking people to some of the most haunted locations in the USA. Visit www.ghostlyexcursions.com and join us on our next adventure. Welcome to Vortex Ghost Gear's newest addition to the paranormal equipment lineup. It's called Cryptocords, and this is a musical, motion-activated, coffin-shaped box. The device works first by inserting 4 AAA batteries. Point the box with the white motion sensor in the direction you wish to monitor. Push the red power button to turn on the device. The music will sound and the light will turn on, only for a brief time as it sets itself. The box activates if something crosses or interacts within its range, stemming from the device's sensor in a V pattern to approximately 30 feet. If the barrier is broken quickly, as in if something walks in front of it briefly, the device will sound, the light will turn on, but only for a brief time, and then it will stop and reset itself. If something continuously moves in front of the device, the music will light and stay on longer. Keep waving your hand in front of the device to test that. Both the box and the music are customizable. As for the design, it can be almost anything, from our basic cross design to your team logo, to your favorite character, theme, or place to investigate, or if you have a haunted location. The music can also be almost anything. This we ask you to find and send to us. It has to be an MP3. Instrument only works best, and up to 2 minutes. If your choice will work, we'll use it. As we custom build and hand paint each box, we always ask for your patience upon ordering. We create each box with pride and send as soon as we possibly can. We have so much more to offer at Vortex Ghost Gear. We welcome you to check out the site for all the paranormal equipment available, including our trigger prop cats and dogs, where there are some new additions to the kennel: the Dome, the V-Pod, the HDO, the Geophone, and IR lights. We ask you go to www.vortexghostgear.com and happy hunting. Most of you may know Chris Lee from being a frequent guest on the Fox Den. Chris Lee is a Canadian clinical hypnotherapist specializing in his system of past life therapy, which eliminates people's persistent aches, pains, fears and phobias, and debilitating emotions without prescriptions, medicine, unnecessary operations, nor ongoing therapy. Many of you already have his hard copy books from his Life in the Past Lane series, and some of you also know that if the books were not readily available, Chris has been very accommodating in sending those books personally. The books include Life in the Past Lane, Fears and Phobias, Aches and Pains, Crimes Against Humanity, with 2 more in the works, Book 5, History, Fact or Fiction, will be available soon. These are fascinating client true stories and testimonials confirming his system works. He can also teach you how to do a system as well. Currently, Chris is away for a prolonged period of time and is not able to send the hard copy books, but there is a silver lining. He has now made his books available as digital ebooks. To place your order, you can email Chris at book@pastliferap.com or visit the site www.pastliferap.com. While there, hit the shop button where you can see all the books and their descriptions. You will find the currently unavailable hard copy books priced at $15 plus shipping. You will also find the newly added ebooks, which are available for only $7.50 with obviously no shipping. The quickest way to start reading this amazing series. Payment is by bank, e-transfer, or PayPal. Go to www.pastliferap.com or email Chris at book@pastliferap.com to get your ebooks. Damn, what is that? Mama D, I had her change her microphone thing out.
I don't understand. My mic is there, but okay, I'm still. Can you still hear me?
I was like, yes.
We're good. We're
But
great.
it just sounds like, like when you hit a chord and it would just crack every once in a while. So it's like, no, I just figured I'd let you know I'm sorry. You look so cute in headphones.
Okay, just for everybody who's in the chat room, I put all of Faust's links in the chat room. Facebook, YouTube, his website, Twitter, Instagram. Go check him out. Click on the link, follow him, go follow him. Find him. Get his book.
So if you're not, because you put them all here in the Facebook link, so if you're watching on YouTube, they're showing across the bottom of the screen right now. So yeah, check them out on all the things. And
I'll put them in the YouTube show at the end of the night.
She's so good at that. And that's why I have her around. That and being positive.
That's the only reason I'm kept around, because I'm cute and do things.
It's so helpful. It's so helpful and just so cute and just, Did I mention you cute?
Yeah.
Speaking of another cutie, we got another cutie down below us, and
okay, you mean my James Bond? I'm sorry. Yeah. Put that picture back up. I know this is sort of like out there. Put that picture back up.
Hold on, I'm getting there.
Something about this picture reminds me of James Bond, the original James Bond, not the, not Pierce Brosnan. Okay, but the original James Bond, like dashing, debonair. Okay, I had my moment. There you
go. That is so cute. But reeling us back in.
Yes, ma'am.
In Shiny Ball Side. The Fix Yourself Handbook, it is just, again, phenomenal. And if you guys missed the beginning part of the show, please go back and watch or listen to any of our Anchor FM venues, which will be available actually tomorrow. Getting my comments back up here. Okay. So again, now the book, now you have 36 chapters along with the preface, that goes into it, telling you how to use the book and everything. And in these things, I want to just kind of like, honestly, God, the chapters, they're so perfect. I mean, disengaging life's unhealthy routines, a practical formula to fix your life, brutal honesty, the real test of courage. That really got me. I'm like, yes, you do need to be, no one wants to do this. No one wants to point a finger at themselves or go in the mirror and say, it's easier to point at someone else and say it's their fault. They did this and they caused that and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
She never does any of that. At least not with me. But yeah. But no one wants to go and point this way. So that brutal honesty part of it is just fabulous.
Yeah. And the thing is, when people hear brutal honesty, a lot of people think, they're going to be brutal honest with other people. And the most important, like everything else, most important person you need to be honest with, brutally honest, is yourself. Hello. You can't get away from this.
That's what the chapter is all about, being honest with yourself. You can't fix anything unless you're going to be honest. Because if you're going to try to water it down and color it up, what you're fixing isn't, or trying to fix isn't going to get fixed. And we have this idea of honesty as a comfortable little place to be, and that's not what it is. If you're going to be honest, you're going to get uncomfortable. And that's really how you know you're honest. If you're telling people you're being honest with yourself and you feel no discomfort, I really challenge you as to whether that's really happening. If you're really being honest with yourself, you're going to go inside and get some things that aren't so attractive to you. And again, you're not telling anybody else this. That's not what this is all about. This is for you to have the right information so you can start changing your life. And you can't change it if you're defending against things and lying and rationalizing all those things that we do. And another thing I tell people is stop being afraid of it, because when you go in and find all that stuff, you're going to find a whole lot of good stuff too, because you don't know that's there because you're too busy following everyone else. You're going to go in, you're going to find all those little PowerPoints I talk about, and you're going to find some things that aren't so attractive. But the key is you're finding them. Now you can go and start making the changes, and no one has to know except you.
Right, exactly. And again, people feel they get so stuck in their routines. They think there's absolutely nothing wrong with them. When you start reading the book, you're going to find out there are things, that can be
there are cracks in the cement.
And yes, your foundation might be floundering a little, but it's so true, and it's so just honest to God. It is the best thing I've read in such a long time.
When you work with honesty, it's difficult in the beginning. Then it becomes this best friend kind of thing. And then you say, what else can I find? And you start going in because you realize that the last time you did it, something was good. Something changed. So what I don't want for me is to have parts of my personality and my character and my intellect, all those emotions that aren't working. So I want to go find all those little places, turn over all the little rocks and stones, and I want to find all those little things so that I can become, if you will, more internally powerful. I'm not looking for power to assert against other people. Just for me, I want to be the best version of me I can be. And the only way I can do that is to go clear out all the junk that's in there and connect with the positive energy. So I'm going to be as honest with myself as I can. And I don't care if I get uncomfortable, because I know what I'm going to do is come through that. And the change that I'm going to be able to implement based on that honesty is going to change my life again. That's what I'm looking for.
And it's only for the better.
Purge.
Yeah, and it's only for the better. Because if you're honest with yourself and you find flaws, then that means there's something that needs improving. So it's only for the better. You're not going to find a flaw and go, okay, fine.
I'll keep that one. We'll work on something else.
That's sorry. I think being a redhead sucks. I'll keep that one. But no, these are all, finding your flaws are only for the better, because you can't run away from yourself. The point is, you can't run. What was it we had on that?
Wherever
no matter what,
there you are.
You're always there. You can't not find yourself, because you're there. You look in the mirror.
Get up and live with yourself every day.
Exactly.
So I would hope you decide that the person you're going to live with is someone you really like being around. Otherwise, you're on the run all the time.
Exactly.
And then we create those masks that really aren't who we are. So it's not because we keep thinking because we don't want anyone else to know. We don't want to know. So I'll keep all those things from me. I'll create this mask. That's who I think I am. Yeah. And then I'll live that way. But the bottom line is that inevitably has to fail. You will hit your lonely spots. You will get to the point where the negativity will do you in. You'll have trouble with relationships and friendships, and and you won't be able to blame the other person anymore, because you'll realize that no matter who you were with, you weren't happy.
Yeah.
Right. And you can geographically try to cure it. That's not going to happen
No,
because
because you're coming along with yourself.
exactly
Yeah.
again, wherever you go, there you are. And that's that life on life's terms. And the natural flow, and you have a chapter on that. And that's huge. And people again don't want to see it, don't want to admit it, and oh heaven forbid, don't want to fix it. You know, and that could be step one for someone where step one could be getting over anger for someone else. But my
Mhm.
question is this. All right, once all right, I read this book. There's a lot of things I could work on. I mean, a lot. Right. and and you have these little innuendos in there like, well, you may need counseling if you may need counseling if you read a chapter and it's like, if this isn't going to work for you, you may need counseling, you may seek counseling. Now, would that be something that could be like, would you do that personally for someone that's reading the book? Like, would they get in touch with you? Would you suggest them to, like, how am I going to put this? Like, do you do Skype meetings with them or Zoom meetings
We
with
do all different kinds
all
of
that kind
things,
of stuff?
and they may have their own therapist. What I want to make sure people understand is that there are times, for example, when women are being abused, the people pleasing, that kind of thing, and they want to leave that toxic, nasty person. That sometimes is overwhelming, and you may need some help. If you're dealing with anger and you're having a hard time getting through it yourself, you can do a lot of things I'm suggesting in the book, but it may have gone so long that you may need someone to help you sort through some things. So what I'm saying to people there, and all of us need help sometime.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
do.
Oh, yeah.
It
Yes.
doesn't matter. So don't be afraid to get it, and be able to feel as though you're worthy enough to do whatever it takes. I,
To
I,
be happy,
I love
healthy,
me enough.
successful.
I am worthy. I am important enough to myself to go out and do all these things. All the time in the world and all the things I have to do, I'm worth it. And when we're taking the shortcuts and we're lying to ourselves and we're avoiding change and growth, then we're telling ourselves we're not that important.
Yeah.
The flawed version that we live with every day is just fine for me. I'll cover it up and move on. It's not a real great way to live life.
And I'm going to say a little something is that a lot of people will be listening to this show and they'll not want to listen to it because you're showing them a mirror that they've been trying to hide from for so long. So for those people who are out there who are listening, and I don't want to listen to this. Don't be afraid. This is not a bashing thing. You're not going to bash yourself. You're going to build yourself. You're going to find that foundation. You're going to fill in the cracks by, answering those tough questions and just build from it.
Yeah.
So many people are afraid to say, I'm going to a therapist. Dude.
No bashing yourself in this book whatsoever. Not
No, the book
whatsoever.
is written to be a positive journey.
Mm-hmm.
And again, in each chapter, and I should go into that, we talk about a problem. The chapters are 4 to 5 pages long, and that's done by design. So you're going to get in and you're going to see, okay, honesty. This is what I'm doing wrong. I can see that. Now I'm doing that.
Yep.
But I don't leave you hanging there. That's always been my gripe with self-help books.
Yes, mine too.
The same thing, and they don't get to the end and say, "Now do these things." So at the end of every chapter, you're going to find 4, 5, 6, 10, whatever it may be, steps that you can take to actually change that. I'm not just telling you that you're doing something wrong, or example. People say you have to love yourself. And I said, okay, I probably looked at 1,000 different places where people have said that, and nobody said how. So everyone thinks they have to love themselves. No one knows how to. So then they all believe they're failing at it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I build that into how you like yourself first. And all this whole process, because that's what the whole thing is designed to get to the point where you have self-love. But that's not some vague, ambiguous concept that you see in all the quotes everywhere in the world. Be the best version of yourself. What in the world is that? Until you find it and live it, you can't be that. So I'm teaching people how to get there, and I'm telling them exactly what to do. If that's what you're interested in, fine, don't be afraid. You're going to learn. You're going to be told this is what you do. And if you do this over time, your life's going to change. It has
Absolutely. 100%, and that's exactly how it's written. And it's, you say, it's a step-by-step program to transfer your life to one that is happy, healthy, and content. And if you do these things and you read it, just read through it, you'll understand it just like that. But go back to it when you're struggling with the anger, or you're struggling with the abuse, if you're struggling with drugs, if you're struggling with whatever it is. There is a section of this book. That's why it's a handbook. You can pick it up, put it in your hand. I wish I had the hard copy. I'm going to get the hard copy because I have it on the computer. But I would be carrying this book around with me.
Yeah.
I really would.
one of the things people have been coming at me for the last 9-10 months and saying, are you ever going to turn this into an audio book? Yeah, it's in the works now. In fact, the person who's narrating is working on it this week, starting it this week. So within the next month, 6 weeks at the most, Fix Yourself Handbook will go audio, so you can plug it in your car and you can do all the things that
long trips. I mean, what a perfect thing to listen to. What a perfect thing.
And the perfect thing about this is that you can choose a chapter a day to read. You don't have to sit down like Gina and get this whole thing done in like 2 days. She's like a reading Amazon. Okay, she can do. I'm the type of person, if I sit there and I read too much, it just kind of goes in one ear and out the other. And my father used to say that when I tell you things. So take a chapter, start it, and you don't have to start at the beginning because he's made it so that it's easy to understand. Each chapter is like a mini book in itself. So choose a chapter. Something sort of pops out to you. What is there? 36 chapters. Choose a chapter. What's your favorite number? 7. Go to chapter 7. See what that is.
Well, I mean, if you want, if you're dealing with anger, there's chapter 18, right? Anger games. The one right after that is deciding.
I think the best one
in and who stays out. But everything goes step by step by step. It naturally progresses to the next step, which is, I love that. Because you've got your mind set into this, like, all right, what am I doing right here? What am I doing wrong here? So your mind is already going. And then where you have the onward, every chapter ends with an onward. So that's like, okay, you do these steps. You tell everybody, this is what you're going to get in this chapter. This is what you need to use to deal with everything in this chapter. Then the chapter, all the information is right there. Easily understood. Information is right there. Then your steps are there to make it happen. And then onward, drive it home. There's that, and again, if you didn't understand it from this, you've got this. I'm driving it home to you right now. You have that section, drive it home.
I had a nice compliment from a woman who emailed me and said that she'd read the book. She was on her 3rd time. She said, there was so much information in there. She wanted to go slow and read it. But she said, what she said was she started to realize that every day life was presenting her, and it's just a common, not a lot of problems in this woman's life. She just wanted to get better, be more together, if you will. She said every day, at least 10 different things would happen that she could find in the chapters. She said she didn't have to go out and look for it. It just existed. It came into her life every day. And she said, I can do that better. Let me go back to that chapter. And that's what she was doing. So, because part of the way I wrote the book is designed to be a reference book. When you're done reading it, again, these things are going to happen. You might say, okay, here I am, and I'm not grateful again. Let me go to that chapter on gratitude. I got to do these things, and I'm going to feel better about this world. What
also would be great coffee table book. Now that pandemic is ending and people are getting out and going and visiting and whatnot, to have that book on your coffee table and have someone ask you about it, be like, oh, well, I'll tell you what, you want to borrow this book because this is fascinating. This is an amazing book.
I have couples that are reading the book. I have couples that are reading the book, and one says, well, I'll read the chapter today, you read it tomorrow, and on day 3 we'll sit down and see how that applies in our marriage. Using it that way. The other thing I'm finding is that businesses are now using. I'm getting a lot of interviews where corporate people are saying, you know what, because they're finally realizing it doesn't matter what marketing program they bring in and how great it is, people still have to learn it and deliver it. And if these people are having all these problems in their lives, the team
Mm-hmm.
isn't working well. So they're taking the Fix Yourself handbook and they're applying it to corporate structures. So, I'm seeing it applied. Athletes are using it. I'm seeing
Oh,
it
I see
applied
that
in all
too.
different
Yeah.
places.
Yeah.
And that's the nice part, when you say, okay, it does, it's doing what it was supposed to do. Because the bottom line is there are all these different places they're applying it, but they're people that are applying
Yeah,
it who want to be more
exactly.
efficient, want to be happier. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You're an athlete, you're a business person, you're married, you're just a person living alone. Doesn't matter who it is. We all go through the same things. And if you get better at that, it doesn't matter what you're applying it to in your life, that gets better.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And then too, like, again, with the parts that were reminding me and referencing to like the 12-step program, which I always love. Absolutely 100% hands down, all my life to that program actually, and that's this on steroids. I'm telling you, it's just like wow, you know. Um Talk about taking it to the ultimate levels. So I like the gratitude to me is very important. Making amends to people, when you do something wrong and instead of letting it fester, it's better to get that out,
Yeah.
so you're not ghost screaming, things like that.
Well,
Keep
it,
you have
if
chapter
you
24, keeping life simple.
mhm.
you
If
know
you learn gratitude properly, you're no longer using it as a response. Well, that I got that. That person was nice to me. I always wanted to do that. I did it. So now I'm grateful. If you're using it properly, gratitude is in you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Starts inside. That's thankfulness. It comes from the
Mm,
outside in. When
mhm.
you get to the point that you're truly grateful, it works from the inside out. So you're grateful all the time, and whatever comes into your life, you will wrap that gratitude around anything. Now you're at
Yes.
a point that you're happy. Now you can really feel what a happy life's all about, because you don't need anything outside you to make you happy. You're happy on the inside, and your happiness actually makes the outside world more happy. It's a whole different way to live.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Let me ask you about something, not book related. When I in the video that I put out there for your bio, and it was talking about you being the president of
Community Psychological Center.
that place. How did that happen, and are you still involved in that?
Yeah, that was, I worked in various clinics in all different types of places. And the last place I worked in, I was a counselor in a prison. And it was at that point I said, I think I want to start doing some private work. So I started to do a part-time practice. And so I would go to work at the prison during the day and come home at night, and I was counseling people. And it really started to take off. And then a friend of mine who was also a psychologist said, "Hey, are you interested in building a group, getting some people together?" And so we started. He and I got together. We had some part-time people. And this was in 1988. So it's to the point now where it's 32, 33 years in. He has just retired. A couple people or part-timers are just going to start to go their own ways. And I'm going to counsel full-time probably till the end of the year. Then I'll go part-time, and then I'll start really doing more things with the book and online things like that. So it was just one of those things where by design it was time to move out of having to do things by other people's design. You work at a
Mm-hmm.
clinic, you work in a prison. You're really, if you work in any governmental thing like a prison, now you've got all the regulations you have to go to. You set up your private practice, and you're able to get creative about what you're doing and build your program the way you want it to be. And that's the neat part of it. So I've been doing that now. Again, it's 33 years, and
Yeah, that's going to be tough, especially like working in the prisons. To hear their stories, and I'm sure a lot of them want to come in and just vent and just or proclaim their innocence, even if they're not, or whatever. You know what I mean? Um, but the ones that truly want the help, I'm sure you got through to them. I'm sure.
Well, again, it's one of those things where you learn a lot. You're teaching, you're helping people, but you're also learning a lot. You're starting to realize that, okay, you're not as different from those people as you think you are.
Hmm.
You've got the flaws, that they committed a crime and got there. Aside from that, it may be a question of magnitude, but it's like, that Lexus you're talking about. It's built on the same chassis a lot of other cars are built on. It's just done up a little different. So we look like we're different, and we convince ourselves that we're better.
Yeah.
We are better than no one.
Not.
No. Hey, I've been there and done that. So no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Made me who I am, but
And that's the thing. That's what people forget is a lot of people, and I make fun of this when I do my Facebook lives. A lot of people go, "Oh God, here goes this woman again with all her happy, cheery shit." Excuse my language. But everybody has bad moments, but the way you work through them. Do I have my crappy moments? Heck yes. But do I work through them? That's the point. So everybody's going to have those moments where, they just feel like they're in an old soapbox and they can't get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the work that you put into the getting out of it. And this book will help. Will give you that, that when the raccoons are stuck in the trash bin, you put that 2x4 in so you can help them get out. This is that 2x4 for all of us raccoons who are stuck in that trash bin.
Sure is.
Exactly. It's designed to be a positive journey, and that's the other thing I like to get people to understand. When one of the companies they do reviews on books, and the woman started her review by saying, "I finished this book with a smile on my face." It was one of those aha moments I got. Said she got it,
Yeah.
and then after she wrote the review, she called back and she got back to me and said, "Wanted to let you know I worked my tail off doing what you said, but at the end of the book, I had this big grin on my face, and I realized I could do it." He said, "I never had that anywhere else. Where I put it down and said, wow, I can make this happen." Other books, put it down, I had kind of an ambiguous feeling, and maybe something changed. This one, she said, I put it down. I was smiling. I said, and I thought maybe the book made her feel good. She said it wasn't as much as the book made me feel good. She said, I made me feel good. I decided that moment to do the work, and that's what I realized. Here was a plan. I could follow it. My life is going to change, and I made a decision to do the work. And if I got a person, or I helped get a person to that point where they said, I'm going to do the work, that was the goal. That's it.
Yeah, and the difference between this book and like a lot of these books I have on the shelf back here, I would just like throw in the trash. After you read something like this, I would throw them away. I wouldn't even suggest them. You know what I mean? Because this is everything. But I mean, I have one book over here. I'm not going to say the author or anything. It's 500 plus pages, and again, it's like a promise that you're going to get to your processes, your steps, how to actually do these things. It's like, that's like what the whole book is leading you to a promise of. You get through the whole freaking thing, almost 600 pages, and there's still no steps. It's like, wait, and then half of it you can't understand because it will be either too technical, they'll use words that, not everybody is going to understand. You might have to look up this word, look up that word, and that irritates me, especially when it's a book that is designed to help people. Or supposed to help people, and this is supposed to change you at a cellular level, and you're supposed to be able to do this and do these internal processes and blah, 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 blah. Again, you get nothing by the time you're done reading this thing, but a complete waste of your time, and you're sitting there scratching your head going, what was this?
Again, that's where I say an author really has to sit down and learn how to write. Well, when I began to write the book, one of the editors said to me, now keep this in mind. You're coming out of graduate school. You can use the $2 words and the whole deal, but your readers don't need that. And you're not trying to convince people that you're intelligent. Keep in mind that you have to write for people, some of whom will not have graduated high school, but they really want to get better. So learn how to write for everyone.
Yeah.
You're going to
We
make it
did that.
sound intelligent, but make it simple enough so that intelligent people will feel motivated, but people who aren't sophisticated, people who don't have a background in education or anything like that they look at it and say, okay, I can do this too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's
it.
the
Really,
goal.
truly
It's
is
not me. The
for
goal is
everybody.
it's always about the work, and if you do the work properly, people get better, and then you reap the benefits down the road. You don't have to have them right away.
So do you
Not
have
as-
Superman like on your chest under the,
What's that?
so you got a Superman shirt on underneath there?
It's tattooed on, you know.
It's a tattoo.
I know.
Because seriously, you must have that godlike status after a while, because
No, you
like
don't.
you said,
It's
you
interesting.
help like 2,200 people
It's
so
interesting.
far.
It's just the opposite. The better you get at this, the more humility you have.
Hmm.
That's right.
And I write a chapter. One of the chapters I talk about the arrogance humility paradigm, and what that really is. Nothing more than saying the farther we move ahead, the higher we go, the more humility we should have. Because if we don't do that, then the learning stops. We get to the point that we think we've arrived. And when that happens, all change, all growth, all learning stops. So you have to continue to be a student of life, remain humble. So it's just like power. The more power you get, the less you should use.
Yeah.
It's all that sort of thing. It's learning how to live with life. And when I counsel people, I tell you, I've counseled thousands, but there isn't one that I didn't learn something from.
Yeah.
Because I need that for me. They need me to be able to do that.
Mhm.
And in the end, as we're growing together, the counseling relationship gets better. Families, relationships, whatever. So you never get to the point that you believe you have the message. You have a message that has to continue to grow and has to be able to be changed so that it meets the needs of the people that you love and that you're serving.
Ashley put it really nicely.
Yeah.
People will connect with what they can easily digest and put into motion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
That's my girl.
exactly it. And he said it too. Intelligent people can read it. People that haven't maybe graduated high school can read it. Kids, could read it too. Like mom and dad could say, hey, really, let's read this chapter to you.
Yeah.
If a kid is,
I think that's what's
a lot of kids
going to be
deal with
good
anger.
about the audiobook. For those people who don't, like, I admit, I fall asleep when I read books. I don't know what it is. It's like better than meditation music. So that for me, I have to read it in bits and spurts. But if you give it to me in audio and I can do reading at the same time, then it sinks into this noggin much faster and stays there much easier.
Oh, excuse me.
We were talking the other day, my wife says, the audiobook's great because a lot of blind people would like to read it.
Yes.
And, we have the Kindle and we have the paperback, but we're not putting it out in Braille.
No.
No,
that's so true.
Plug it in and they can feel better about life too. So, again, it's trying to hit everyone and present
people with long commutes to work, or people that like I go see my grandson, my daughter. That's an 11-hour ride. I would love to sit and listen to some of the books that I have to read a book. I have to read at least one book, or if not two, a week for the show. Let alone the ones I want to read. And but on those long drives, it would be awesome to just hit the audio and listen while you're driving.
And having an audio book is not the same thing as Ashley says, I'm a multitasker. I also love audio. Is you can put a Kindle on audio, but it's not the same thing as hearing somebody read the book, because I am a multitasker, so it's not the same, because trust me, I tried it. It still doesn't work. You gotta speed up.
Are you having a male narrator?
I am. What I wanted to do, and I was so blessed. I was originally going to do this myself. As my voice is attached to everything, but I'm involved in so many things, and I looked at it and said, it's just not going to happen. Which one do I give up to make this happen? And there was such a demand for it. So I found a wonderful man who has a voice that men can identify with, but that women will feel is soft enough. And that's kind of stereotype way to do things, because some men need that very soft voice. Some women like the harder, the driving voice. So I wanted, again, like the book is written. When I went out and looked for a narrator, I wanted the one who could appeal to just about everyone, and I think I found that person. So I don't think it's gonna. I think it's gonna be something.
We'll get the audio book and we'll let you know.
I know. Well, I mean, I want to get the hard copy, so that one, I'll go to like Amazon or wherever you're gonna have it, and I'll listen to the, because it always has to listen to the preview, so it gives you some of a chapter or something. I'll listen to that to see just to check the voice out. I'll give you my thumbs up if I like it. But I mean, some books I've heard in audio that have had the worst narrators. Oh my God. It's just like,
you have to. There's a site actually that it is the site you go to pick all the narrators out, and it's actually an Amazon owned site, really. So when you sign into it, you're using your Amazon password to get in. And then you go there, and there are hundreds of narrators. So again, took my time, listened to all of them, and all of them have 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 different books that they've done. So I looked up for all the self-help people and went through the voices. And I didn't decide it was going to be a man. I listened to, I'm going to say, probably at least 100 people, men and women.
I would be all right. See, I'm not the only anal OCD person on the planet. All right, I would still be doing that.
It's going to be something I want everyone to be able to identify with. So I really want to take my time, and I hadn't done anything with this book rushing and making it something that had to happen right away. So why do it with this one? This was nice. And the other thing I did is, normally you hear it and then you connect, you make a proposal. So I found his email. I went online and found him, and then I communicated with him personally for 3 or 4 days. We went back and forth. I asked questions, and he was not only the voice I liked, he was a person that I liked. And he said, well, I'll actually help you set this whole thing up. We don't normally do that. I won't charge you anything because I really like what I read, what you sent me. So I really want to do this book. His range was, between like $100 and $200 an hour. And he said, you're getting the bottom. I want to make sure this goes out. So it was just a great person to work with. So, I mean, again, it's one of those things where I decided I'm building a life, and I'm selling a book that says connect with other people. So I wasn't just going to click on, put this in the cart and we'll get this guy, and they'll tell them if they want to do it. I wanted to connect first. I wanted to hear this person. I wanted him to hear me.
I mean, this is your baby. This is, I mean, and you want to love it, and you want it to be cared for properly. I can understand that completely. Vicky's neighbor, we just had her on the show not too long ago. She just put up a post that she's trying to put her book into audio, doing it herself, and she's in editing hell right now.
You know what? It's hard because you're not just narrating. You're going to use most people use a program called Audacity. You have to learn how to use it, but then the audio people want all the settings in there just perfectly, done perfectly. They will stop you and send it back to you if it doesn't meet their standards. Now you're going to edit out all the various components and the breathing. You're going to do all this. The pros do it all, and they edit it when it's done. They edit the breathing. If they happen to breathe into the mic, that gets edited out. I mean, it's a professional thing, and then you hear it.
Well, you get what you pay for.
Yeah, I have a friend in the UK who does that. That he does audio books. He does audio thing for many things, and it's like I know him. Like he's like that. And then I heard him read a child's book one time. I went, "Is this seriously you?" And he does his own editing and everything else, and it's like it's amazing the difference between the voice you hear and the choice that you make for that person. Like Ashley said, it's a genuine connection that you made, getting to know him and letting him get to know you, because like Gina says, this is your baby, this is your child. You want it to work with the right people. You had to that person, and you had to have a connection to a certain level.
You know, the other part is, again, we talk about that learning back and forth. I'm teaching people how to become people that connect. If I'm going to take something that's going to help them connect, and I don't connect with the person first, I have my own advice. So it's not just about the baby, and I want it to be perfect. I want my process to make that happen, to be the efficient one, the way I'm teaching it. I need to be using that. Otherwise, I'm teaching someone something and I'm not even using it. Well, doesn't make, so I have to be that person also.
Exactly. Exactly. So now, for people, because we're getting down to the end here, we have like 10 minutes left. All right. For more information, you can go to www.faust, Faust, Ruggiero, Ruggiero.com. And that is his site. You can see a lot of the things there. Look him up, Faust Ruggiero on Facebook. And then Faust Inspire on Instagram. And what's the other? What's the other one?
Instagram, Twitter, YouTube.
Twitter, yeah. So
he tweets.
Tweet. Check him out on all of those venues, and please share this video. Please, please, please. I mean, especially if you have someone that's struggling with any aspect in their life. I mean, it can be anything. It is covered in this book, and it is simple, and it's a great, easy process just for you to help yourself, help someone in your family, a friend of yours that's struggling. This is the perfect gift. The perfect gift.
If they go to the website, the website is dedicated to the book. You'll find the bio. You already heard some of that stuff, but you'll find chapter outlines there. You will find excerpts from the book, so you can really see what it's going to do for you. You're going to see how it's presented. So it's kind of a way to check in and say, is this really what I want for me? I think that any good author should be transparent enough to say, here's some samples. Go and see if this is what you would like in your life. If it works for you, buy it. If you think it doesn't, no one's pushing you. But I think that's
I push when it's a good thing. There's a lot of, sometimes I'll just sit back and do my interview, and I'll ask the questions, and I'll get through it, and I'll say, it's a good, okay book. This is a must. I mean, it's just too.
Yes, Ashley. After the pandemic, a must read.
Oh my God. Yeah, and that's brought up in the thing too. It's coping and dealing, and then you get down to the end, and it talks about. Speaking of, I'm losing my voice. You're talking about voices. I just got diagnosed with like COPD and emphysema and all this crap, because I had COVID. And it really did a damage to my lungs, which I guess these issues were there before, but now they're really prevalent. So I'm losing my voice all the time. So my voice is not my normal voice here, and I hate it. But as you're going through this book, you're ending, and you're extending love to others, and the journey within the new you, and housekeeping. Housekeeping is crucial. And then again, like I was saying before, all your chapters go on to the next one in a natural progressive step. Okay. Now that housekeeping would definitely segue to the next book.
It does. And it also just reminds people that, we try to make changes in our lives, but that doesn't mean that the rest of the world is going to come aboard. Unless they're doing the same thing, they're not coming aboard. So you still may be removing people. You may start slipping a little bit in your life, doing that old people, places, and things. And you may have to clean things up a little bit. The fact that happened doesn't say you've regressed or you slipped. It simply says that people entered it again in your life. You got them out once before. You can do it again. You're strong enough to do that.
Yeah. And this is an absolute perfect. Ashley, you've been giving some unbelievable statements here, and this one is like the best. You can only write something like this if you have a lot of love and compassion for others, and you can see that in him. He just she exudes it. He just dedicated his whole life. I mean, 40 years of your life?
That was a nice comment, actually. Thank you. Everyone has that that talent or that thing they like. I like people. I love to be around people. I tease people when they come in the office. It doesn't matter, men, women, whatever. When you leave a session with me, you're getting a hug. And then the pandemic hit, and I can't hug anybody. So this.
I know, isn't it? Oh, trust me, I
I know.
still understand that one.
I know. Well, now that everyone, please
virtual
people go out and
hugs.
get your vaccines, so we can get out there and hug everybody,
Yeah, I want to be able to stand in the middle of the street and say free hugs.
Yeah.
Actually, give them.
You'll get arrested.
I didn't say anything, just a hug. Ashley, come hug me.
I would love to give Mama D a hug. Between, me being in Pennsylvania and her up in Canada, that makes that a little difficult. But one of these days,
I'll go down and visit my family in Philly, and I'll come over to knock on the door.
And then we'll go knock on his door because he's in Philly.
Yeah, go. Okay, I got a quick out of the zone. Which is the best place to get Philly cheesesteak in Philly?
Well, I'm not living in Philly, so I'm about an hour and a half away. So you're asking the wrong person. But
I thought I was that said that in your somewhere in the book about you being in Philly.
No, I'm about an hour and a half away from. I'm kind of like an hour and a half from Philly and an hour and a half from Manhattan. So I kind of have the best worlds, and I don't have to.
Best of both worlds. There you go.
Well, I'm in the Wilkes-Barre. I'm in 44th, so I'm in the Wilkes-Barre area. So
you're an hour away from me. Mm-hmm.
Okay. See that? We could go visit you.
Yeah, we're gonna go.
You'd be going, oh no.
You'd be like, oh shit, not them.
Not them. Anybody but them. This seriously. I really have enjoyed talking to you. I'm going to be really putting this out there for a lot of people because we get asked a lot of questions,
yes,
and especially about after people like you that have been on the show, like, oh, who can you recommend for this, and who can recommend for that? And if they miss the show, like a Thursday evening is kind of tough for some people to watch show because there's good TV shows, and people are watching those. So they watch the show later,
and there's
or
a
they
hockey game
listen
on
to
tonight.
it. Yeah, who knows? But they watch it later, or they share it to someone who needs it, or they listen to the audio venues, and we have a whole bunch of them. And I am going to say, hey, if you're having a problem in I don't care what area it is, it's going to be, it's Faust. What's the answer? Who can you refer me to? It's Faust,
Yeah. I have a question. What I do sometimes is when I'm reading books is you said you have outtakes on your website. So would it be okay if I went over there, did a copy and paste job and shared it on my Facebook page? With the link back to your...
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not a problem at all. Yeah, I've got the excerpts, things like that. And I've told people that many times. What's on there, I didn't copyright anything.
But I still have to ask. That's.
I know you do. I understand, and I appreciate that. But the goal is to help people get better.
Yeah. Exactly.
And, if you keep that in mind, everything else will come in time. Whatever's supposed to happen will happen. Right? You just continue to do the work and enjoy it, and that's what I do.
Preach into the choir, darling.
Right. And then all these processes too, there's no time limit on it. This is a forever thing. Again, like if you're having an issue, say with your spouse, that will get cleared up, and then a month or 2 months or a year from now you're going to have a different issue, and the book might be collecting dust on the shelf, and it might be time to brush the dust up and say, oh yeah, you know what I mean? And that's in that housekeeping part of it. That's the maintenance part of it. But like for me, like again, I would say if I had the hard copy book not on my computer,
Gina would have Post-it notes where she wants to go back to.
Oh yeah, I have. I flag everything.
Yep.
Yep, I love the book. There's a million flags in it, But this one, it's just you don't even have to flag the book because the chapters are small.
Yeah,
they're concise, they're precise, and they tell you exactly everything you need to know. And it's all it's all just in the table of contents. That's all you have to do. So you don't have to flag it. It's there, So it's easy to use, well written, perfect. The best fix yourself handbook is perfect. And then when the parts where you can't fix yourself, get help.
Ask for help. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No harm in it.
Exactly.
Yeah. What's the worst that's going to happen? They kick you out? I don't know.
I would not. I mean, isn't.
Yeah, she seems all sweet and innocent sometimes.
Yeah.
But you gotta be careful of her sometimes.
It's the red hair. What can I say?
That's it.
No. Oh, look at it. So I got love for you. We got love for you, Ash. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for watching. Please share. That's all we ask. That's all we ask. Share so other people can get help. You know, 'cause
Exactly.
everybody needs help. I don't care how perfect you think you are.
That's it. How perfect we think we are.
Yeah.
Because we're not. There are cracks in everyone's foundation. Whether you want to admit them or show them to other people, doesn't matter. All you gotta do is admit it to yourself. And if you do that, then you're on the beginning. That's the first step.
Final words, Faust, for our people.
You know, I always like to end with this one, and I tell people, and I've said it for years: everything you have, everything you need, is inside you already.
Mhm.
All you have to do is learn how to go in and get it, define it, and learn how to use it. There's a power inside all of us, but we just need to know how to get it. That's why I wrote the book, so you can go in and get what you need, make your life the way you want it to be. You be the author of your life, not someone else. You have the power to do that. Be willing to go inside, do the work. Your life is going to go on for as long as it goes on. Every day, use the processes and enjoy.
Yep.
Amen.
Very
Thank
true.
you so much for
Thank
being
you very
with
much,
us.
Faust.
This was fantastic.
It has been a pleasure.
All right. We'll talk soon. Well, actually, hang with us for a little bit. All right. We'll see you all next week. We're going to have Michael McAdams with us. See you then.
Bye.
Thank you again for joining us for another episode in the Fox Den. We're here every Thursday evening from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, bringing you a variety of guests, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and our Anchor venues. We would love it if you would go to our YouTube channel, The Fox Den with Gina B and Mama D, and please subscribe, share, and definitely hit the notification button to never miss a show. We'll see you all next week, and subscribers, watch for our pop-up shows as well.